Hey YouTubers, Rob here with another Commodore 64 game. This time we're looking at the classic Choplifter, a very early release, originally written by Dan Gorlin for Brøderbund back in 1982. According at least looking at the screen here, he wasn't responsible for this port, which was Dane Bigham. This was originally written on the Apple II, and being a 1982 release, it's very early in the life of the C64. Considering that, it's a pretty good port. It's an incredibly fun and challenging game. So, there's not much in terms of presentation. I mean, essentially, the tile screen is up now. You're just hovering. You're sitting at your home base. You've just got the title, which is it is standard Commodore ROM font. I believe the game was originally released on cartridge, and that might be why they kept it down fairly small. And along the top, you've got your score panel, which is divided into 3 numbers, with graphic characters instead of text. So, on the far left is the number of hostages who have perished. The game I played before recording this, I didn't do so well. In the middle, with the diamond, is the number of hostages you have on board your helicopter. And on the right, with the heart, is the number you've successfully flown back to base. So the basic idea is you fly that helicopter, and you need to basically fly behind enemy lines, rescue hostages, and deliver them to your home base. So, our first life. Controls are awesome. The helicopter feels like it's got a lot of weight to it, as it should. And the other thing that's a bit weak on this Commodore version is just an aftermath of the fact that the game was running on the Apple II, which usually had a 2-button controller. Here we've only got a single fire button. So you press the fire button to drop a bomb, you hold it down, and then push left or right to turn. And the main reason for that is you need for attacking the ground. In this case, our first enemies are these tanks. They're fairly easy to dispatch, but they get harder later on, and they get harder later on when you just get more of them. And we've just lost a hostage. We haven't been a good rescue. So now you land on the ground, and the idea is you sort of periodically got to. There's sort of this risk-reward in coming down. Can you get hostages on board before the tank comes? So, first is a helicopter can hold 16 hostages. So, and there are 4 houses which we'll get to in a bit. The first one starts opened. So, oops, and I've just taken out another hostage. Well, so the challenge is maneuvering and getting to hostages without letting them get taken out by yourself by terrible flying or by the enemy tanks. Now we're back at base. We can come in and land, and they'll come out. One of the things I like is that being fairly arcade, you don't need to land precisely. It's fairly lenient with that. I think that was simplified a bit from the original Apple version. And now we've done our first run, the game will actually get a little harder. What happens now is we'll start seeing the next enemy start appearing, which is, here it is, this jet. And the idea of what this jet does is I luckily took it out, but it'll drop a couple of missiles that hit the ground. So you need to be careful that you're not flying on the same level. And it becomes short. In fact, it actually flipped me up quite a bit. Next thing we need to do now is take... I was close. And we've also seen we've now got a second tank on screen. The other thing with this Commodore version is it does slow down a bit. There is a bit of slowdown, alright. Yes, full load. No! And then I just killed them all. Okay. Next life. So, essentially there are 4 houses with 16 hostages inside them. That results in 64 hostages to rescue. Right now we've done 2 of the houses, and I've killed more than half of them. Which is some excellent flying by me. Alright. Come on, let's do this again. Okay. We can do this. No, we can't. And now on our final life. So you have 3 lives. There aren't any extra. There are no points other than the number of hostages you successfully rescue. So in this case, I'm actually doing very terribly. I mean, destroying tanks, destroying planes doesn't really matter. It just buys you more time. So here's the last house. And alright. Let's come in for a landing to get these people home. I believe this... Yep. This is the last... Oh, we survived. Okay. Okay. So close. And that's mission complete. I have to admit, an utterly terrible performance. As you can see, now we've rescued all 64 hostages. We get told, well, we haven't exactly rescued, but now all 64 hostages have been taken care of. The game ends. It's a fairly simple game, and the challenge is trying to do it and saving as much. I mean, this run I've just finished, I got 24 out of 64, which is pretty terrible. I haven't played this game. I had it on my C64 as a kid, and I haven't really played it much since then. But it's a very challenging game. I mean, I think the slowdowns are a bit of a problem that do hamper enjoyment. I have to look at some of the other ports. I was just checking Moby Games prior to having it play just to double check some stuff, and this game was ported frequently. In fact, you know, as an example, you look at the Atari home computers. It actually got 2 conversions. One back in the day, and a later one when the XEGS console came out. So it's interesting. I'd love to see how this runs on those. I mean, I think being a fairly early game, it doesn't really take much advantage of the C64's graphics or sound. You know, all the sprites are the same 3 colors. I presume they're using sprites for things. Fairly simple color palette, and it's not really pushing the sound hardware. But as a game, it's a fun game. It's just a very early one for presentation's sake. But one definitely worth checking out. If not on the C64, then definitely on another platform. That's pretty much it. There's not much more to the game. I mean, technically, this is a long play because I've now shown you the whole thing. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to bringing you another 64 game next time. Thanks.